Here on Power Business is Kgomotso Lekola. He's Managing Director at BT Industrial and also Executive Chair at Africa Weather and Director at Future Foresight Group and LGC Capital. With 20 years experience as a businessman and having held positions such as the Executive Chair of the Board, CEO, COO and General Manager in some of the largest businesses in the country, Kgomotso founded the consulting and investment business LGC Capital in 2013. And successfully acquired equity in a technology startup firm, Weather Intelligence Systems, and who operate the company Africa Weather. Now, this is certainly a seasoned entrepreneur and someone who, from a strategic perspective, within 18 months of having interacted with Africa Weather, was able to ensure that the strategy resulted in 100% growth in the profits, a 7-fold increase in the dividend yield, and a 3-fold increase in the underlying value of the business. He now joins us as our power suit to tell us uyenze njani. Kgomotso, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, and you?
Good. Before we get to how you managed to get some of that right, let's maybe start off with you, Kgomotso, the person. Just give us a background, where did you grow up, where you from? Did you always want to go into a business, and in particular, of course, some of the sectors that you've gone into?
So, I'm a regular guy. I'm from Pretoria. So that makes me a hardcore Sundown supporter, I guess. You know how we roll?
Sure.
Yeah, I live in a house with 5 women.
Okay.
3 daughters and a wife and a nanny. So I'm very well looked after.
Okay. I mean, I've never had a power suit who comes and says, I'm sister by 5 in the house. But that being said, Kgomotso, I mean, the other issue, certainly for us here, and the other thing that we're always interested in is, what spurs on the drive? What inspires the drive for you to have built some of the businesses that you've had an opportunity to interact with and to influence and to direct?
So I've always wanted to be in business. I used to watch Dallas in the 80s, and I always loved, JR and Bobby and everything that they were doing with oil. So I've always known that I wanted to, control my destiny. The industry sectors that I ended up in, I'm not sure it was by design. A lot of it is just by, I suppose, a little bit of luck and just how things go. In terms of training, I've got a BSc in computer science, so my inclinations from a very young age have always been around technology, innovation. And I've always believed fundamentally that, particularly being African, in South Africa, and I suppose this applies to us as a continent as well, we have to innovate. So I've always tried to come up with new ideas to go into new and different spaces. Because if you don't innovate, if you do what the next guy is doing, then you can't compete. I suppose the only thing you can compete on if you don't innovate is price. So I've always wanted to do that. That's always, I suppose, been in my DNA. And in my career in corporate, that's what I tried to always do. And when I went on my own, I started a business, I said to myself, which areas would allow me to create the kind of difference that would at least propel me to be able to differentiate myself from everybody else. I don't know if...
I mean, I guess it does answer that because, many of the sectors that you've gone into aren't necessarily, run-of-the-mill sectors. It's actually sectors where you've had a keen eye that has seen an opportunity and you've said, let me go for that opportunity. I'm interested now in particular in some of your BT Industrial division. Just talk to us about the early days there in that operation and how, the task of building that kind of a business, in essence, changed you as a business person?
So I suppose the genesis of BT really comes out of the work that we did in Africa Weather. I bought this business in 2013 with a loan from a bank. My strategy was to find the kinds of businesses that I could afford to get a loan for and buy. Because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do BE deals. I just don't have the money or the gravitas to pull off something like that. So the business was started off by 3 very brilliant colleagues and friends of mine. I came in, I looked at what they were doing. They were playing very much in the mining space. They were providing weather risk management solutions to mining, very successfully so. So what I then looked at was to say, how do we expand beyond where we are? How do we grow this business? How do we innovate? I don't know if you know these SMSs that you get that warn you that a hailstorm is about to come, move your car. From your insurance
From the
company.
insurer, yeah.
That's actually one of my innovations. So I did that back in 2014 using the technology platform that we had built in Africa Weather. So we're able to expand the business to cover, I don't know, about 70% of all the mines in the country, about 80% of the insurance companies in South Africa are clients of ours. We were very lucky. We were able to expand some of our services to Australia.
Sure.
So we have some presence in Australia.
In the mining sector there as well.
In the mining sector, as well as insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, as well as insurance. So about 2 years ago, it became very clear that the mines were looking to somehow transform themselves, create an opportunity for us to then say, how do we offer more than the type of technology that we were offering, but to keep that innovation spirit alive. So we wanted to move into engineering, heavy engineering, but with a way that would make a meaningful difference to largely mines and your industrial players, your mines, your process plants, your refineries, those types of environments, your ESCOMs, those types of environments. So we were lucky. One of the first projects that we did was a pipeline, and we quickly figured out a way to be able to deliver piping solutions, in particular HDPE piping solutions, to our clients in a way that allowed us to price extremely competitively and yet deliver a quality product to our clients. So in a very short space of time, we were able to get into that, delivering these pipes very price competitively because of the just the processes that we're implementing in managing our raw materials and the manufacturing, as well as the cash flow management of it. And then about a year ago, we looked at some of the challenges that the process plants have. They've got all of this. I don't know if you've seen pictures of Sasol or these big refineries. There's pipes everywhere.
Sure.
And they struggle with maintenance. Lifting those pipes and maintaining them is a nightmare for them. So we figured out a way to create a solution that would allow these guys to lift the pipes easily and perform maintenance on the process plants without affecting
the supply.
No, I'm saying we have the ability to go into a process plant and
do the maintenance
in a way that doesn't disrupt operations due to the technology that we developed. So we worked with an American company to develop the solution, and we got hold of the University of Pretoria. We said, guys, this is what we've done from a mechanical engineering point of view. Let's work together to develop the processes and procedures around how to use this in a safe way for process plants. And the University of Pretoria did a sterling job for us on the R&D front.
Okay.
And were able to, in conjunction with my engineering team, deliver a really quality service.
Let's talk about that. I want us to help, because you seldom hear from entrepreneurs, even those who are running large commercial bureaucratic operations, about
mine isn't, by the way.
No, I mean I'm making that example, right? So companies that have bigger balance sheets than yours, probably a workforce sort of 3 times the size of yours, that don't talk or nor prioritize having links in the R&D space, and the importance of that.
Yeah, so for the size of business that we are, we spend a lot of time R&D. Look, we're a black-owned operation. We're new. And the only thing that's going to set us apart is the quality of our ideas.
Sure.
We haven't been around for 20 years, so we can't compete with some of the bigger guys in terms of, what they do. So we can't do what they do. We have to come in and do something different. And I think what has helped us to get traction is that thing that says we have to go into these spaces, we have to innovate. The other thing is this: if you don't innovate, what's going to happen, particularly in the heavy industrial space that we're in? The only thing you can do is compete on price. And if you are an ant like us compared to some of the bigger guys,
you don't have the kind of scale.
You don't have the scale that they have, so you can't compete on price. You really cannot. So the only way you'll get into the room to even be listened to is if you bring real value to the table, which is what I hope we will continue to do. So we put a lot of effort in that space.
Now, you said earlier on that for one of your early business endeavors, you had to go to a bank to get a loan.
Yeah.
And you were very intentional about recognizing that you couldn't get into the BEE space because you didn't have the gravitas, nor did you have the money to do that.
Yeah.
And I want to hear from you as somebody who's working in sort of the industrial space and what I always call the real economy. Because, what happens on the JSE is the sort of portfolio flows. It's the financial side of things.
No, that's not the,
But it's not the economy.
It's not the productive side of the economy.
It's not the productive economy. It's not the greenfield side. It's not where some of the jobs are made.
Yeah.
Why is it, from your perspective, do you think that when we talk about transformation, when we talk about BEE, when we talk about all of the things that we need to change the underlying structure of our economy, we don't shine enough of a spotlight on that sector?
It's not sexy. It's dirty and it's difficult. And that's the truth. The real economy is hard. You have to come up with ideas. You have to deliver real services. You have to manage cash flows. Some of your clients don't pay you on time. The banks don't want to give you money. It's really tough. But it's one thing to talk about transformation at a board level and at a shareholder level, which I think is the point that you're making. And then it's a completely different thing to say, how do we genuinely grow the economy? Right? How do we genuinely open up the space such that new people can come in? Operationally, and deliver real goods and services. Hire people, do real stuff, export. So it's exceedingly tough. You need ideas and you need opportunities, I guess, but very importantly, you need money as well. And so when you're talking the highfalutin JSE, type environments, the kinds of areas that particularly the new entrants operate in, represent a lot of risk, and they're just not sexy.
And when we look at the financing environment, I mean, the issue for me has always been finance is supposed to feed the real economy and not necessarily the other way around, right?
Yeah.
The anticipation is that finance is supposed to go out there, find bankable and great opportunities to finance so that you can expand the pie as you're talking about. And do you get a sense that with the sophistication of our financial markets here, we still have a missing middle by way of financing some of medium-sized businesses that have the opportunity and the potential to scale?
So how much time do you have?
I've got 2 more minutes.
Because I can go on the whole day about this issue. I think the fact that our financial systems are so sophisticated is actually hampering what actually needs to be happening in the real economy.
Yeah.
Right. We have established credit control systems that if you miss half a payment for right, so you miss half a payment for your dry cleaning or whatever, and somebody reports you for being a bad payer, that might completely take you out of the reckoning for R1 million loan that you need to build your business. And this is happening as a result of the level of sophistication that you have. So you almost need a much more low-level type of Wild West environment, a little bit like what you have in China, where you do have a functional economy, you do have a functional financial system.
There's a parallel one.
But it's parallel to the development of the country. You need your financial system to be at par with where the bulk of your people are. That way, you're able to support them to grow. Otherwise, if you're too far ahead, the ones that are behind will never catch up. Never.
Last one on my end. We've got about a few seconds left. Any lessons, if any, to young people who want to go into the real economy? And I say the real economy as counterposed, of course, to the financial economy, because even if you watch the news, the only thing that you see when we talk about the economy is the JSE, are the indicators. Any young people wanting to go into the real economy, be it in manufacturing, be it in services, be it in the R&D space, or even in technology, what lessons would those be?
Be the best nerd you can be. That's the best investment you can make in yourself. By the time you grow up, you should be able to lead with your ideas.
Okay, Nivileke, the nerds and the geeks lead.
Absolutely.
Don't ever feel ashamed that you're the sharpest tool in the shed. 8 p.m. is the time. Let me take this opportunity, Kgomotso, to thank you for joining us this evening. Managing Director at BT Industrial, talking to us about his journey and, of course, some of the structural issues in our economy that make the growth of the real economy and the transformation of that real economy difficult. And I really appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for coming to share with us.
Thank you for having me.
8 p.m. is the time. That then is the final whistle. Big thank you, Amanda, Kolani, and Smuda, and to you, the listener, for putting together this great product and engaging with it. It's always a pleasure to engage with all of you. And that being said, you have yourself a great evening. Take strength. Sisekulendo yokoi banga le economy.
Power Business was proudly brought to you by